Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about the WWE Raw March 2nd, 2026 review. My thoughts on the show was as simple as this. It was quite a bit better than normal, but again, I'm going to say this. I will say this. They're a little late on the party, you know. We're supposed to be on the road to WrestleMania, as they would say. The road to WrestleMania, my ass. We've been on the so-called road to WrestleMania since January, and now all of a sudden they've decided to turn up the heat and actually care about the product. You should have cared about the fucking product when we were getting to the Royal Rumble. Honestly. I thought the ending to this show with Roman Reigns and CM Punk was fantastic. Good commentary by both of these guys. Great stuff. Some of the matches on the show was not that bad. Some of them I could give two shits less about. But let's go over the show, shall we? Oh yeah, real good show. Anyway, Paul Heyman comes to the ring with Logan Paul and Austin Theory. Heyman introduces himself and the Vision members. This is supposed to be when someone comes out and says, "Welcome to Monday Night Raw." They're supposed to say, "Live from Indianapolis, Indiana." Heyman hates to piss on everyone's parade, but excuse him while he whips this out. He is here tonight to talk about Seth freaking Rollins. Rollins is the single biggest thief in the history of this business. The crowd starts to sing Rollins' theme and Heyman angrily stops talking. Heyman says he hates that song as well as Rollins. Well, it's funny, he hates Rollins, but yet he betrayed the tribal chief and the best in the world for him. So that makes absolutely no fucking sense, but who's counting, right? Who needs to make sense in this fucking lame-ass company? Anyway, Rollins stole the credit for co-founding the Vision from him. Rollins isn't worthy of that credit. Rollins stole the credit for co-founding the Shield, but that's not Heyman's problem. My attitude's real simple. Why would Rollins want to be the co-founder or even the founder of the Vision when it's depleting rapidly amongst the months? I mean, I would not want to be part of this group. This group is fucking cursed beyond belief. Every freaking month there's a new injury to this roster, or to this team. They got Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker out. Two of the biggest names that are being claimed to be the future of WWE. Yeah. They're a real big future. Sure. Anyway. The problem is Rollins stole the Elimination Chamber and the main event of WrestleMania from Logan Paul. Yeah, like he was getting the main event of WrestleMania over Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Sure. And I'm talking about the Night 2 main event, because that's the true main event. Seth Rollins steals oxygen from every human being on the face of this planet who is worthy of living. God knows what he thinks about who's worthy of living. Nor do I give a shit. Mr. Lynch is not one of them. They are going to do something about that. The next time Seth Rollins is in the WWE ring, they are going to stomp his ass out. That's not a prediction, nor a spoiler. That is a personal guarantee from the three of them in the Vision. Theory grabs the microphone and says, "Here's my theory." No pun intended, I guess. "And let's see if all you idiots can follow me." Theory says he goes back with Rollins. Rollins isn't going forward, especially after what he did to Paul. The crowd chants, "You suck." Theory says Rollins isn't in the ring, so they can't chant that. Oh wow, what a way to deflect the chant that was being directed at you, ass clown. Anyway, moving on. Logan Paul talks on the microphone and shouts, "Seth Rollins, you scumbag." Paul eliminated 3 people in the Elimination Chamber, before Rollins stole the victory from him. The last person who did that was Brock Lesnar. That's the kind of company Paul keeps. The rest of the show isn't happening until Seth Rollins comes out and answers for this. Raw GM Adam Pearce comes out, and Pearce is with security. Pearce says he knows the Vision wants to take the show hostage and knows they're responsible for hunting Jey Uso on Friday. Heyman says they had nothing to do with what happened to Jey Uso. They can plead guilty in advance for what they'll do to Seth Rollins. Heyman throws the microphone at Pearce, and Pearce says he needs to have a conversation with Rollins, but he can't do it with the three of them in the ring. Pearce needs to talk to Rollins because he's not medically cleared to even compete. Sounds something familiar back in 2017 against Triple H. Anyway, a masked man jumps the barricade, but security quickly chases him away. Another one hops the barricade, and Paul chases him off. A third masked man lures, and Theory chases him away as well. Heyman is left all alone in the ring and looks nervous. Another masked man walks down the aisle, and Heyman starts to beg him off, thinking he's Seth Rollins. Yet another masked man steps onto the apron behind Heyman and removes his mask, and it's Seth Rollins. Rollins gets in the ring and smashes Heyman on the back with a steel chair that looked like it sucked. He took it like a fucking champ. I gotta give Paul Heyman that. And that chair shot was very similar to what he did to Roman Reigns when he betrayed the Shield. Following that, Heyman writhes in pain on the mat. Rollins backs up and sizes him up. And then Heyman gets on his hands and knees, and Rollins crushes him with a stomp. The crowd sings Rollins' song as he looks around. Rollins then leaves through the crowd. EMTs and WWE producers run down to check on the unconscious Paul Heyman. When they get back from commercial break, he's found inside an ambulance. His nose is bleeding like a stuffed pig. Apparently, he must have accidentally broke his nose. And he's loaded on into the ambulance. Logan Paul and Austin Theory come over to check on him. Paul runs off to get a car, and Theory leaves the ambulance and closes the doors. Theory goes over to an SUV, and Jimmy Uso attacks him. Uso sends him into a bunch of crates and goes over to the ambulance. LA Knight is revealed to be the driver of the ambulance. Knight says, "Don't worry, boys. I'll make sure he gets the help he needs." Yeah! And Knight drives off in the ambulance. I thought that was really cool. Like that. That was funny as shit. That I enjoyed. I think it was not realistic. It's not, something you would actually see in real life. It is over the top movie like parody type of shit, but it was funny, and I gotta give them credit on that. That was hilarious. In the arena, the ring general Gunther makes his way to the ring. As he does, he's going to be facing the Dragon Lee. Gunther and Dragon Lee. This match was a no-brainer. Obviously, Dragon Lee ends up losing this match by submission. Gunther, being very intelligent, he removes his mask to reveal his face, and Dragon Lee covers up his face so no one can see it between Gunther's arms, and he goes ahead and he quickly taps out because he doesn't want his face to be revealed, and then he plants his face into the mat so people don't see it, and the referee throws a towel over his head so he can hide his face and whatnot, and get his mask and get the hell out of there. And that's pretty much what happened. Thought that was a pretty smart little ending to that match. Not that there was anything special about it, but the ending was pretty neat. I liked it. Asuka is yelling at Kairi Sane over losing at Elimination Chamber. Asuka is furious that Zayn didn't qualify for the match to help her. Zayn is crying and says she did good. Asuka grabs her by the throat and shoves her. Talk about fucking abuse. WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion AJ Lee sees Zayn, who is staring in distance, unblinking. Lee asks if she needs help, but Zayn is unresponsive. Asuka then screams, "Kyrie!" and Zayn walks off like a zombie. No shit. Next we hear from AJ Lee. AJ Lee makes her way out to a big pop from the Indianapolis crowd as the new Women's IC Champion makes her way to the ring. Commentary talks about Becky Lynch's protest over the losing the belt as Lee steps into the ring with a microphone. She says she's not entirely sure how we got here. AJ came back to WWE purely to snatch the hair off of Becky's pretty little head, and somehow she managed to snatch the title from her as well. She wasn't sure if she was able to go as the crowd chants "You deserve it," which she acknowledges, and they believed in her, had her back for a decade. They remembered AJ when some people would wish they would forget, and they believed she would fight the very best. That is exactly what Becky Lynch is. The best of the best, but AJ beat her. Even though Becky gave her the fight of her life, AJ proved to herself that she can be a champion, or she can be championship material, whatever. She's still exactly who she thinks she is. Now that Becky boo-hoo-hoo is behind her, WrestleMania is in front. But AJ is not waiting until then. Now, she's going to be a fighting champion. Everyone's a fucking fighting champion in this company. We all know what you're going to do. Defend the fucking title. Good for you. That's what you're supposed to do. It's been 12 long years since she was a champion, and she's not going to waste any time. A couple of weeks ago, she mentioned there were some women that she wanted to get her hands on, and now that she's the champion, she knows there are some that want to get their hands on her. So if any of the women want a shot at their favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, come at me. This gets a pop, as she says the next time she stands in this ring, she'll be defending the women's championship. So ladies, show me what you got. Oh, goody. So earlier in the day, we had original El Grande Americano hyping up Penta ahead of the IC Championship match against Dominic Mysterio. Penta says Americano knows him, Sarah Meadow. He walks off as the other Americanos confront the original, with Grande addressing the fact that the original took his shot at AAA Rey Des Reyes. Original wants to shoot at one of his amigos tonight. We head back to ringside as the original El Grande Americano makes his way to the ring, and he faces Rayo Americano. Oh, whoopee fuck you do. We then get a vignette from Liv Morgan, who says Stephanie Vacour doesn't know a thing about her. One thing Stephanie was right about is that she is privileged. She's sorry for the advantages she's had, but says it's because she's a star. She doesn't focus on the past like Vacour, but she sees how talented the champion is. She'll do something for Stephanie by giving her the privilege of stepping into the ring with the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time, the inaugural Women's Crown Jewel champion, Liv Morgan. Oh boy, that's really getting me hyped for that match. Let me tell you. Then we get the original El Grande Americano versus Rey Americano. Obviously, Rey Americano was not winning this match. The original Americano won with a German suplex. So, I like that. Thought that was pretty good. And, but nothing really to cry home about. It's not that big of a deal if you missed it. Next, original celebrates as we get a original Americano, by the way. Celebrates as we get a reminder that WrestleMania 42 will see the first hour of Night 1 on ESPN and on ESPN2, and also the first hour will be on Night 2 on ESPN. Whoop-de-fucky-do. I don't give a shit. I'll be watching it live on the ESPN app. So, I won't need any cable television for that. So, a vignette with Penta running down, Dominic Mysterio promising to make history tonight when he becomes the new IC champion because he is Penta Cero Miedo. No fear. Anyway, backstage at Judgment Day have a chat until Finn Balor comes in. They address Balor losing at Elimination Chamber before pivoting to Dominic defending his title as he wants to make sure they're gonna be out there tonight. And Balor thought Mysterio was going to do things on his own, and Dom claims that he wanted them to be there to celebrate him retaining the title. Liv confirms that they are a family with a hug as we cut away. Great. Royce Keys addresses more of his personal life on What's Your Story with Stephanie McMahon. Only one problem, we have yet to see this man actually perform on national television. What the fuck are we doing? Anyway, we get Planet Fitness presents The Miz falling victim to Dragarula as Obafemi picked up a win over the former WWE champion, I'm assuming on SmackDown. Back at ringside, Rusev is tired of hearing about Obafemi. He knows Femi is backstage and they both want to fight, so how about right now? The Lion of Bulgaria calls out the Nigerian ruler, and Rusev is not moving away from this table until he shows up. You can go ahead and ask your daddy Adam Pearce if that's okay, and it seems Obafemi doesn't need to do that as he makes his entrance. Femi stares Rusev down as he enters the ring, and Rusev continues to just stand on the announce table as Femi has a mic. Obi says that Rusev spent all this time talking. Why don't you do something? Rusev drops off the announce table, steps into the ring to mouth off with Femi, and they start trading shots at each other, and Femi sends Rusev to the corner and looks for a chokeslam, but Rusev breaks free to land some shots of his own. Excuse me. He hits the ropes, but runs into a chokeslam by Darula, who sends the Lion of Bulgaria to the outside. Rusev retreats up the ramp as he shouts at Femi, who looks to get some more of Rusev as we cut away from backstage. Next, we have Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, talking about WrestleMania. Lyra is suggesting that Bayley should challenge AJ Lee to get a ticket to WrestleMania. Bayley likes the idea, but says they should both go to Adam Pearce to state their case. They head to the office of Raw DM as Io Sky steps out, staring the pair down on her way out. Back at ringside, Jimmy Uso makes his way out to the ring to face Austin Theory. One-on-one. So, this match ended up being a no contest disqualification. He ends up winning the match. Theory and Paul double team Jimmy until Jey Uso comes out. And he sneaks up and gives his brother one of his crutches. They then attack Paul and Theory with the crutches. The Usos hit Paul with double team clotheslines over the top rope, and they then hit Theory with the 1D, and the Usos stand tall in the middle of the ring. This could be a possible tag team title match for all we know. I'm not sure. I was kind of, mentioning that, I think, on a previous Raw review. that this would be possibly an idea to do. But they're not an established team, so it wouldn't really work out very easily as you would if you put the Lucha Brothers together, since they are brothers and they were a tag team before. They just so happen to be separated. I don't know. Just my thoughts. A video cuts in with CM Punk setting up for a pipe bomb promo. Big fucking whoop-de-doo. This was actually the funniest part of the entire fucking show, outside of the LA Knight segment. General Manager Adam Pearce is on the phone when he turns to see Danhausen. Danhausen thinks he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Pearce looks confused. Danhausen says he debuted to thunderous applause and cheers. No, you were not. You were booed. He has some Demandhausens. Danhausen wants a blimp, a Hall of Fame induction for this year. God knows they probably could use it anyway, since they're limited on that this year compared to other years before. A personal assistant, a personal camera boy, and a Triple H pointing photo that Triple H seems to do with everybody else. Except for Drew McIntyre, of course. And his face on the trucks. He gives Pearce the list, and Pearce wonders why it's soggy, and Danhausen says it fell in the toilet. That shit was fucking hilarious, man. I laughed my ass off at that. Why is it so soggy? Oh, it fell in the toilet. So apparently while he was taking a dump, he was writing all this shit down. So, and then when he got up to wipe himself, he ended up fucking dropping the list in the toilet somehow. This is sick. Anyway, the Judgment Day walks by, so Pearce stops them and introduces them to Danhausen. Danhausen greets Finn Balor and Dirty Dominic Mysterio, but he can't remember J.D. McDonough's name. Danhausen says he wants one of Mysterio's titles, but Mysterio says that's as close as he'll ever get to them. Mysterio tells him to go before something bad happens. Danhausen isn't happy and curses Mysterio. They chuckle and turn back, but Danhausen disappears. So apparently he's a magician as well as a demonic good guy or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, next we get Rhea Ripley preparing for Jade Cargill. Jackie Redmond is on the stage. This is a new way of interviewing someone. On the stage and introduces Rhea Ripley, and Ripley comes out with Io Sky. Redmond congratulates Ripley on winning the Elimination Chamber and stamping her ticket to WrestleMania. How does she feel about facing Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship? She accidentally says World Championship at one point, I believe. Or it might have been Ripley who said that. Ripley says, "It's been a whirlwind few days. Losing the women's tag team titles on SmackDown sucked." Ripley says Sky has been so many different things to her. She's been Ripley's opponent and tag team partner, but most importantly, her best friend. Ripley thanks Sky for always supporting her and standing by her. Ripley holds her face as she thanks her for pulling her out of a dark situation. I have a feeling Io Sky is turning heel. That's where I'm getting the feeling where this story is going. Sky says that Ripley did the same for her. Sky says Ripley won the Elimination Chamber and showed why mommy is always on top. Sky says she'll be okay on Raw. Ripley has to handle her business and win the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania. They hug as Ripley smiles broadly, and Ripley says she will do it for Sky. Ripley tells Sky to hold down Raw for her because this Friday she has the camera come close, as if she was calling her husband to get close in her face so they can make out like a bunch of wild beasts or some shit. Anyway. Ripley says she'll be seeing Jade Cargill face to face on SmackDown this Friday. come WrestleMania, she'll be leaving as your new women's champion. And Rhea Ripley and Sky hug once more. So following that, we have the WWE Intercontinental Championship on the line with Penta, Dominic Mysterio. This was a fun fucking match. And I wasn't really surprised, especially after the whole situation with Finn Balor losing his shot at winning the World Championship, the whole friction going on between the two of them. And they're not going to give Finn Balor a consolation prize with the Intercontinental title as a replacement of being the world champion. Strictly, this is going to be a grudge match between Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor, which could be developed into a good story, I think. And also then you add on the curse by Danhausen, and then your whole fucking script flips. And your viewpoint and decision on what the match is going to be flips. And that's basically what happened here. Penta ends up winning the match with bickering and arguing in the outside the ring between JD McDonough and Finn Balor with the hammer to hit the bell to notify everyone the match is over. And he ends up going ahead and Finn Balor stops JD from doing that, and it costs Dominic Mysterio the match because of the distraction. He eventually gets out of the distraction, but still ends up losing the title regardless. Penta goes for a Mexican Destroyer after he tries to attempt to do a 619. And Penta goes for a Mexican Destroyer, but Mysterio drops him into position. Penta avoids a 619 and then hits a Mexican Destroyer for the 1-2-3, with Penta becoming the new IC champion. So there you go. Penta celebrates with the WWE IC Championship as the Protechnics go off. Alright, so next we have Roman Reigns addressing CM Punk at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns concludes his entrance. A loud OTC chant fires up. Roman Reigns says, "Indianapolis, acknowledge me." And out comes the World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. He makes his way to the ring to a huge reception. The crowd loudly sings his song, and Reigns isn't happy to see Punk. Punk gets in the ring smiling. A CM Punk chant fires up. Punk asks why Reigns is mean mugging him. This is less of an interruption, more of CM Punk feeding Roman Reigns' ego. Punk acknowledges that Reigns, but he hopes that isn't all Reigns is here to do. He hopes they're not wasting one of Reigns' dates on that. It could have been a tweet. Reigns asks, "Did my tweet hurt your feelings, Phil?" Punk seems a little sensitive. For a champion, he's got a thin skin. Punk says Reigns' tweet didn't hurt his feelings. Punk doesn't get mad and hold grudges about things people say about him on podcasts. Reigns' tweet was accurate because he is tired. Punk says, "It's a good thing I've got these bags under my eyes. Though for 7 weeks, I've got to carry your bullshit all the way to WrestleMania." That shit was funny. Punk then asks if it's great to be alive in Indianapolis on a Monday night or what. They are on the road to WrestleMania, and the first stop is Indianapolis. They have history. This is where the Shield debuted, and Punk brought Reigns to the dance. Reigns has a correction because he brought the other two, not him. Punk says he didn't pick Reigns, but Reigns picked him. Now they're heading to the main event of WrestleMania in Las Vegas. If you ask Indianapolis, Punk has already won. The last time they were face to face, in a ring, Reigns told Punk he hated him. Punk has him right where he wants him. Punk made Reigns an emotional lady. Punk is in Reigns' empty head, and under his skin, Reigns' skin is translucent. Punk can see right through him. Reigns says that Punk is right. He does hate Punk. This is what Phil is missing. If Punk didn't have the title, Punk would be indifferent to him. Punk wouldn't exist or be on his radar. Okay, I'm a little confused though, but when you first initially made your decision on this, you decided Punk anyway, because he held the World Heavyweight Championship. If you don't care about him, and it don't mean anything, he's indifferent to you and it doesn't mean nothing, why would you pick him, per se? But maybe I'm reading it a little too far into it. They brought Punk back to entertain the 30 to 40-year-old virgins who still live in their mom and dad's basement. They brought Punk back to sell a few t-shirts and maybe draw a house in Chicago. They didn't bring him back to be a champion. That's too much responsibility for Punk. That's above his pay grade. They can't trust Phil. Phil's a liar, and he has lied to all the people. Punk has people thinking he's a good time here, having a good time here, and he's in the locker room. He's a locker room veteran and leader. Punk can lie about loving all the tours and enjoy hanging out with his cousins. Still, they tell Reigns about all of Punk's bitching and moaning. Punk isn't fit to be a champion. Reigns says, "You're not CM Punk, you're just a punk-ass bitch to me." I like that one. At WrestleMania, this backup plan ends. When Reigns wins the championship, he'll put Punk on one of those John Cena retirement tours. They'll max him out and make as much money as they can. Next, he'll send Punk to NXT to teach the next generation how to do what they do. Then Punk will send them up to him, and the tribal chief will smash them all. Oh, shit. Reigns goes to walk away, but Punk turns him around, and Punk is incredulous that he is walking away from him. Punk says, "You just said a bunch of shit, and we've got to cover it all." Punk wonders who we is. Does he have some extra Samoan goblins in his pockets? Roman and Reigns is all alone. There's no more Shield, no more Wise Man. Punk took the Wise Man away from him. Punk loves moments like this because it illustrates Reigns' entire career. Punk is the champ. Reigns is in the main event of WrestleMania, not just because he won the Royal Rumble, but because Punk is the main event. Punk is on Netflix. This is his show. Punk runs things here, and Punk says he's in the locker room hanging out with Reigns' cousins, and Reigns is all alone and can't get things done when he's by himself. Reigns can hate him all he wants. Punk doesn't care if he loves him. Punk won't let Reigns disrespect him, and Reigns thinks he's going to retire CM Punk, but no, he's just made the list. Reigns went from getting beaten at WrestleMania. Punk is going to bury him. And Punk says, "And then you won't be alone anymore because I'm going to bury you next to your father." And then he walks away, and that's the end of the fucking show. That was a fucking gunshot heard around the world, man. That was a hell of a fucking promo by CM Punk and Roman Reigns. I thought that entire ending to the show was excellent. That is what made the show worth sitting through all this time. The show before that, it was okay, but it was nothing to the level of that. We don't get those kinds of feelings with these matches are so much of these matches are fucking fillers. They have no rhyme or reason. They're just filling in time and space and segments to fill out a show. That's all they're fucking doing with this shit. That segment right there was meaningful. That segment had emotion. Both guys told their story to one another in a very good fashion. I love both of their fucking promos. I thought it was excellent, but Punk just had the upper hand with the ending clothesline, the ending quote that he made in his promo that just stood him above Roman Reigns. But Roman Reigns did an excellent job in this promo as well. I love both of these guys here. I hope they have a great match at WrestleMania and make up for the shitty fucking WrestleMania main event of Night 2 at WrestleMania last year with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, because I'll be honest with you, we get a shitty WrestleMania this year, which pretty much is more than likely going to be a shitty WrestleMania anyway, based on the lack of hype building into the event. But maybe Triple H is trying to take a different approach and not putting too much hype behind it, so there's not so many high expectations for this show to turn out to be good. But whatever the case is, this show leading into WrestleMania has been shit, but this promo, again, between these two was even better than the first, and it was great to sit through and watch. I thought the show overall was decent, but again, lack of build going into WrestleMania, and then now, all of a sudden, they now have the urgency to want to build towards a good show for WrestleMania. The WrestleMania should be focused on 3 months in advance, from January all the way up to the WrestleMania date. Or otherwise, it doesn't feel like WrestleMania in my personal opinion. But anyway, guys, at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.